we are talking about games. Games that
Yes.
were played in Africa, or that started in ancient Africa. With me again is Mr. Arnold Maibomo Ngala. Mr. Ngala, hello and welcome.
Hello, and thank you so much.
Mm.
Yes, for
It's
inviting
nice
me.
to have you back. We are
Yeah,
talking about
it's
games
nice to
today,
be
aren't we?
here.
Yes,
Yes.
yes. So, what can you tell us about games and sports in Africa?
Okay, like as we have introduced the today's topic is about African games
Yes.
and sports, because sports and games it's almost
Okay.
like one and the same thing, but it's not. It's not really one and the same thing in a way. So a game is a form of play that is
Okay.
done for many reasons, right?
Yes.
Like leisure, entertainment, fun, physical and mental development, education. There are so many reasons, as some of those reasons are going to be revealed as we will be talking about this, as we will talking about African games.
Okay.
And then sports are more like competitive games.
Yeah.
So
Okay.
sports are more like, yes, they are more like competitive games, and sports they are more like formalized, if I can put it that way, more than games. So
Okay.
a game we can just go right now, like as you can see, I'm in the park. You can just go to the park. That's a game. But if
Okay.
it's a sport, it becomes more competitive, and sometimes it becomes more formal. Like, for example, let's say golf. You see golf,
Yes.
you can go to yes, there's a lawn, or should I say like a park,
Yeah.
but it's more competitive. Yes, yes.
Okay.
So in Africa, we do not know exactly when games and sports began. Like
Yeah.
there is not exact time that we know, but there are recordings that date back as far. There are recordings that dates as far back as the times of ancient Egypt, which is what did I say? What is the real? What is the name of Egypt? Ancient Egypt, by the way. Do you still remember?
Yeah.
Yes, Kemet. Yes. So every time when you say Kemet, we'll be referring to ancient Egypt. Yes, 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 yes. So there are many drawings there in Egyptian monuments, like the and temples and tombs there. Yes, there are so many drawings that show people playing games and sports, and and also in hieroglyphics, which
Okay.
is which is the Kemet text or form of writing. So there are hieroglyphics that as that dates back as far back as 400 BC, if I can put it there. That speaks of the spreading of boxing in 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 Kemet. So you see, all that shows, so all that is those are the historical recordings of how old African sports and games are. Actually, they're older than that,
Competitive.
but as far as recording is concerned, yes.
Okay.
And in tomb paintings, some of them there is they, they are between they were drawn between 3400 BC and 1500 BC. So they show images, like as I've said, they show images of people playing sports and games.
Also,
So
on
example,
tombs, it would be say like that person would have been a sportsman or a sports person or a sportswoman.
um, that can
Those
be
drawings are
interpreted.
on tombs.
Well, that can be interpreted in different ways. But what we see is the fact that there are drawings that clearly show that
Okay.
uh, these are people playing a certain sport, and they tell the whole story. But to know why exactly, whether maybe it is maybe the reason why that painting is on that temple or on that tomb, whether is it because maybe that pharaoh who is in that tomb, like in that pyramid,
But you-
whether whether he liked that sport or played it
okay.
well. Yeah. But what we know is the fact that they are there. It shows that sports was being played. Yes, yes.
So what sort
In
of
in
sports are on those tombs? Is it boxing as well?
um, boxing, running,
Okay.
gymnastics, gymnastics. That's why it is believed that gymnastics they were invented in Kemet. Tug of war, weightlifting, and many professional sports. In fact, this makes us to conclude that the professional sporting culture was actually invented in Kemet. You know,
Okay.
yes. And Kemet was in Africa,
Yes.
and Africa is the cradle of mankind. Yes, so it makes sense. In fact, some of these sports and games, they were actually rituals, if I can
Okay.
put it that way. In Kemet, for example, let me give you an example. Um, for example, marathon. You see, marathon.
Mm-hmm.
So in marathon, what happened was that every time when a new king was being coronated, after a king has been coronated, after a new pharaoh has been coronated, right?
Yes.
That pharaoh had to prove that he is fit. You see, so he had to run after the city. You see,
Around the
so
city.
so that so yes, yes. So there'll be it's more like how marathon is being done. That you see, like people running from point A to point B, or they'll run from point A, or they'll go around a
Okay.
certain distance. Yes. So he also so the new pharaoh had to run a long distance. You know, where people will be on the sides of the road. You know, so that they will see who is the new pharaoh, and then they will also be assured that he is very healthy, because they believe that a healthy pharaoh was going to bring a healthy nation. So the king was running, you know,
Mm-hmm.
as a marathon, and during his birthday, every year annually there was an annual marathon during his birthday, whereby all the people who were born on his birthday, they also raced with him. So it was more of a birthday celebration, you know.
Okay.
And the king being the king, he was so pressured to be the number one, you see.
Mm-hmm.
So as a king, you know, it people will see you as a hero if you become the best runner in that marathon. So it made the king to work so hard. You know, it made the king to work
Fine.
so hard.
And then
Training, yes, training, and in that, and in turn, it made the pharaohs to be very fit people who will also stay, who will also live for a very long time. You see, so you see, so this exercise also made the pharaohs to live longer. You know, you see,
okay.
and so in other words, all these ancient all these ancient like the ancient Olympic games which were done in ancient Greece. You see those gladiators
Mm-hmm.
which were being done in Rome, in the Roman Empire. All those were just variants of the professional sporting culture which was invented in
Okay.
Egypt, in
Okay.
Africa. Yes, in Kemet. Yes. So to make this discussion more presentable, I'm going to group African games and their sports, so that we get to know them, you know. So I am going to give you examples. So I think they're about. So I made about 11 categories. Actually, I've written them down here. There are about 11 categories that we are going to talk about.
Okay.
Yes.
So before we
So
go on to that one, so if
yeah.
professional sports was already in Kemet, so it makes sense that the rest of Africa was also there was all those kind of competitive
Um,
because they
it
were
makes sense. Yes.
because
Actually, the fact that yes. I can say that the reason is that um historically speaking, it is not easy to know when the professional sports started in Africa. But the fact that the ones which can be recordable,
yes,
because you
the ones
can,
that are on record,
yes,
the earliest
the
recording.
ones that are on records, like archaeological, like archaeological, if I can put it that way,
Yes,
is the drawings we see
in the
that
two
were
songs.
drawn in Kemet, yes.
Okay.
So yes.
There
So
could be
yes.
earlier elsewhere, but the earliest recordings of competitive sports are in Kemet on the Pharaoh's
With, with,
tombs.
yes, with no doubt.
Yes.
With no doubt, it is earlier. With no doubt. With no
Yes.
doubt. Yes.
Okay.
Yes. So the first category. Okay, for me to make people understand what I'm going to present, I'll try to present the way in a way that I believe can make it easier for them to understand, if I can put it that way. For
Okay.
example, the best category um, is, I'm gonna call it high jump, just to
Okay.
make people understand the uh, kind of game that I'm talking about.
Was
So
yeah.
if I say high jump, someone who knows high jump at least will have a picture of what I'm trying to talk about. Yes. So is high jump, right? So high jump in Africa was or is done in many forms. You see,
Okay.
the form of high jump, which is similar to the high jump in the Olympic Games.
Okay.
So it is called Gusimbuka or Rikamende in Kinyarwanda language. So Kinyarwanda language is spoken by the Banyarwanda people of Rwanda, Burundi, DRC, Uganda, and Tanzania. You see,
Okay.
so that is where the word Rwanda comes from the
Okay.
word from the fact that there are people called Banyarwanda,
I
and
know.
they spoke Kinyarwanda. Yes, so they've got a form of high jump called Kusimbuka or Rikamende. So they will plant two sticks horizontally, right? And then the third stick um, is placed vertically
Uh,
and is being supported. And yes, and is being supported by these two horizontal sticks, just like um, the way we see in Olympic Games, right?
okay.
So it's land with legs standing. See, so I'm trying to give you a picture of someone
Yeah.
doing a high jump, but when he or she lands,
Mhm.
he lands his while his legs are standing. To get the picture,
Yeah.
unlike in Olympics where they land with their back and
Then
on a,
soft
on
content.
yes on a mattress, on a big mattress.
Okay.
Yes. So that's the difference. And this form of high jump, which is Kumbuka or Rikamende, it was played in the King's Court, especially during the diplomatic visits, and on national festivals. Yeah. So sometimes it was also played in weddings for entertainment. You see, and this sport actually flourished under the Tutsi king, Yuvi Musinga or Yuvi Musinga. He is also called Yuhi the Fifth. So he was a Tutsi king of the kingdom of Rwanda. So the Tutsi tribe was ruling the kingdom of Rwanda. Yes, and King Yuhi V was overthrown by the Belgian government during colonization. So if the reign of King Yuhi V had continued, this means that this form of high jump could have continued to flourish up until this day, you see. And the current Rwandan government is trying also to revive this form of high jump, you know, as a way to maintain Rwandan heritage, history, and culture.
Okay.
Yes. So yes, yes. And then this form of high jump was found even in some other nearby kingdoms.
Okay.
So I cannot really say that it was really in the kingdom of Rwanda, but let's just say around East Africa there, or Eastern Central Africa, somewhere there around Rwanda. They are also play it up until this day.
Okay.
So, for example, in for example, there are people who are called the Kalenjin people. Kalenjin people. We spoke about them when we were speaking about races of Africa. So they are found in Kenya and in Uganda. So in Kalenjin language, they call this form of high jump. They call it Chepko Siruet. Yeah, they call it that way. And then another form I can tell you about is we have spoken about. Is there any form that you still remember that we spoke about? High jump.
I can't remember because I
The one.
jump.
So we have spoken. Yes, we have said many things. Do you remember when I was speaking about the Masai high jump?
Oh yes, actually, when you were talking about high jump, you know, when you were talking about those two sticks, I was thinking about the Maasai and just how high they jump.
Yeah, so we spoke about it when we were speaking of marriage rights in Africa. So because we spoke about it, I'm not going to say much about it. I just wanted to remind our viewers and listeners about it. I believe they've got a picture about what I've got about the reason why it is done and how it is done. The Masai high jump. Yes. Okay, and then the second game I can talk about is folk wrestling. Okay, I'm going to use the word folk wrestling.
Yes.
Folk as in FOLK, folk wrestling. That's all I'm. Yeah, that's the second category. That is how I'm going to name this form of sport as a way to help our viewers and listeners to have a picture of the kind of sport I am trying to portray or to talk about.
Okay.
So this folk wrestling was usually it was more of a military training technique in Africa, you see, and sometimes it's used in the initiation schools, you see. Yes. So it was also used as a rite in schools as a way to train young boys to men. Okay. Yes. And it comes in many forms. Okay. Should I say in many variants? So many variants. I'm going to give you examples. For example, there's a type of wrestling called Njom. Njom is ANNJOM. Njom wrestling. So this one, it was started by the Serer people. The Serer people of they are found in Senegal, the Gambia, and Mauritania. So it is now. So this sport is now a national sport in Senegal. It's like a Senegalese national heritage. and the Wall of People. Do you remember the Wall of People? We spoke about them when we were speaking about
Yes.
African music. Do you
Mhm.
remember? Yeah, so the Wall of People were in Senegal. They call it lamb. They call this form of wrestling lamb. Lamb is in L. It's in L W L W A M B lamb wrestling. Yes. So yes. So when this form of wrestling came out of the military system to the civilian life, so young men used it to attract young women for marriage. So do you remember when we were speaking about marriage rights, we said that courtship in many African communities is hard work. Do you remember?
Yes. So how did it come out of the military system and the initiation schools? Is it because of during after the colonial?
Yes, 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 yes.
Also, it's
Yes,
also
I believe so. Even if okay, I'm not really sure,
They also
but
fight.
okay.
But
obviously,
here the fight is gone
obviously,
beyond the sphere of the village and come to the
colonization
city.
destroyed. Remember, we spoke
In
about
Dakar,
Yes,
when
yes,
we were
rescuers
speaking
are
about
just as
African music.
effective in their work
Yes,
as
yes.
they are in the country.
we spoke. We said one of the results
Wrestling is
of
the king of
colonization
sports in
was that
Senegal,
it
even
killed
more than football.
African institutions. So
Yes.
you
The
see
dream of Senegalese children
some
is
of
to be
these
a wrestler
activities
A
which were
and one
done.
day fight in an
activities that were
actual civil
done
war.
like in certain came into the public spaces.
Yes, yes. So when it came into public, young men started to use to attract young women for marriage. So Dina was seen as a protector of, was seen as a future husband who's capable of protecting his field, if I can put it that way.
It goes as
And
far back as the oral tradition of the
they also
Mekong.
use it for
But now
income,
the fights are
for
broadcast on
income.
television, and fighters can
Um,
receive up to 30,000
and
euros
the
for a criminal
wrestler,
fight.
so the wrestlers in Lamb, they, they it still exists, as they say that this is now a national sport in Senegal. So
Okay.
the wrestlers, they perform something called back. So back is in BAWK, BAWK, which is an oral art to instill to the opponent. So it's similar to the Maori, which is done by the New Zealand rugby. Have you ever seen them doing like a war cry?
Yes. Mm.
Sorry?
Yes, I've seen it.
Yes. So that Maori dance is called the haka. So it was derived from the Maori warriors. So that is what lamb wrestlers also do.
Okay.
You see, to still it's the same technique as what the New Zealand rugby team does. It would be to instill fear to the opponent, also to be confident. Yes, yeah, and then they also another form of wrestling is called onjumbo wrestling. This one is done. It's found, or should I say, it's done in Angola. In Angola, it's called onjumbo wrestling. Yes. Then another one, say Nupa wrestling. Nupa wrestling, NUPA. Nupa wrestling, as the word says, Nupa is from the word Nubia. You see. So which country do you think it is done?
In Ethiopia, maybe places like Sudan.
Yes, Sudan. So in Sudan, there are tribes called Nubian tribes. You see, there are tribes called Nubian tribes. This is why it is called Nuba wrestling. Yes. So it goes as far back as Nubia. You see, so it's a heritage.
Okay.
So the Nubian tribe, they use as a network, like it's a way to meet, in the arena, wrestling arena. That's how they meet and network, especially after they were scattered by the by the civil wars and genocides. You see, so it was a way of meeting. It is now a way of meeting and networking. They use that sport to meet as the Nubian tribes, because it is performed by the Nubian tribes. You see,
Yes.
so during civil war, the Nubian tribes used to pass time in refugee camps by playing and watching this game.
Okay.
So it helped them to forget about the horrors of the civil war. So you see now, African sport is now being used to make people try to bury the horrors of the civil war and move forward. You see, so that's the other reason why people, some of the reasons behind African sports, see, like this one. And then in Tunisia, among the Tuareg people of the Sahara, the Tuareg, they've got forms of wrestling like Mabza. There's a form of wrestling called Mabza, and then there's another one called Tapilat. Yes, and it seems like, sorry.
That's in Tunisia.
Yeah, no, the Tuareg of Sahara.
Okay.
The Tuareg, they are found in Sahara, including Tunisia. Yes. So the Tuareg people there. Remember when we were speaking during the time when we were speaking about African races and groups, we said the Tuareg people are found in many countries.
Yes.
In the Sahara, right?
Yes.
We see that the Tuareg are found in many countries and in many tribes, which make up the Tuareg ethnic group. This makes it. This is why they've got variant. You see,
Yes.
so you will have a certain tribe or a nation of doing a certain type of wrestling. Are we together on that?
Part 2 in our next podcast. To Mr. Arnold Maibongwe-Nkala, thank you very much. And to you for listening, we appreciate your support. If you enjoyed today's podcast, please don't forget to like, subscribe on YouTube, follow us on Spotify and iTunes and all the other places that you get your podcast from. Thank you.
Ezakithi wentaba ezikude zingumasithela zimfihlela wema wentaba ezikude zingumasithela zimfihlela wema wentaba ezikude zingumasithela zimfihlela wema wentaba ezikude zingumasithela.